How are y'all doing? Everybody good? All right. So I actually had it in my notes before you said that, like the I noticed you matter. And since he said it publicly of like a, if empathy being your last is a weakness, I want to say it publicly that I think you have grown so much in your empathy. And I think it's because it's been 4 or 5 years probably since we took that test. I think if you did it again, it would be higher. So just want to publicly say, I think he has grown in it. Is it his top? Maybe not, but he definitely has. We are who we are. No, I'm joking. You've grown so much in that. So just want to say thank you, babe, for, just want to acknowledge that in you. Today, I want to talk to us about feedback. Everybody say feedback. We love it, right? I think one of the biggest, maybe not top for sure, but like top 5 of just a culture as a church, as a staff, as leadership, that we develop a feedback culture within our groups, within our teams, all of that. And I know we keep saying that, but it's so true. When we grow, those around us get better, right? It doesn't just affect us. It affects our homes. It affects our businesses, our workplaces, our churches. And it's so important because it's fuel for growth. So let's put that into practice. I want everybody right now to turn to somebody next to you and give them any kind of feedback right now. I'm just joking. We're not going to do that. I'm not. It was a joke. Did everybody's hearts drop for a minute? So I'm sure, did y'all think of something real quick that you've been waiting to say? You've just been waiting for the moment? No, I'm joking. We're not doing that, so it's just a joke. But when we let's think about great leaders in the Bible. I don't know who comes to your mind, but it's funny because Pastor Josh mentioned it. He was talking about Moses. I also want to talk about Moses. Moses was at the top of the list because Moses was anointed by God. God spoke directly to Moses. Have y'all ever heard God's voice directly? I know I haven't. He communed with God. He had a very close relationship with God. He led boldly. He had to do some big, bold things. He led miraculously, Red Sea, water from the rock, like all those things. Moses was a great leader. He did big things. And he led organizationally. Moses had to lead 1 million people. My brain can't even fathom leading 1 million people, but that's what Moses was in charge of. So he was a great spiritual leader, but Moses had room to grow just like you and I have to grow. Would you admit that? We all have room to grow. We all need to grow in some things. Moses was no different. So I'm going to read to you Exodus 18, verses 7 through 9. And it says, so Moses went out to meet his father-in-law. He bowed low and kissed him. Y'all do that to y'all father-in-laws? Just joking. They had a different culture back then. I'll leave that there. They asked about each other's welfare. We do that. And then they went into Moses' tent. Moses told his father-in-law everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and Egypt on behalf of Israel. So they were talking about the good things. They were celebrating, right? Celebrating the things that happened. And he also told him about the hardships. Let's celebrate before we talk about the hardships, right? Because we always have the hardships, but he also thought about the good things they're doing that they had experienced along the way and how the Lord had rescued his people from all their troubles. Jethro was delighted when he heard about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel as he rescued them from the hand of the Egyptians. So Jethro, as I said, was excited for all God was doing through Moses, but then the next day, Jethro notices something. So let's continue in the story, Exodus 18, 13 through 19. It says, the next day Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning till evening. It's long. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he said, what is this that you're doing for the people? Why do you sit here alone and all the people stand around you from morning till evening? And Moses said to his father-in-law, because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, they come to me and I decide between one person and another. Who would want to do that all day? No, maybe not me. And he says, I will make them know the statutes of God and his laws. Moses' father-in-law said to him, everybody say that. Can y'all see it on the screen? What you are doing is not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out. For the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to do it what? alone. Now listen to me and let me give you a word of advice, and may God be with you. And so what we see here is Jethro sees something about Moses and the way he is leading, and it's not good, and it's not the best, right? It's not the best way to be doing something. He could see, you can't do this alone. It is too much for you, and he notices that. And because he loves him, he says something, right? Because do we tell our children that because I love you, I'm going to say this. If I really didn't love you, I'd let you do whatever you want. So we have to remember that when we're getting feedback. Maybe every time the person isn't speaking in love, but the ones that we do know and trust to know it's coming out of love, or to say something that I love someone, so I will say something, because love is saying something. But something else to notice is Moses wasn't sinning. Was this a sin issue? It wasn't. It was just a way he was doing something that needed to change. It wasn't working anymore. It wasn't the best way to do something. He was still leading, but it wasn't in the best way. And again, remember, Moses is anointed. He's doing miraculous things, and he's leading bold, and he's organizationally gifted, but he still had some blind spots. Would we agree? We all can have our blind spots, and even Moses had room to grow. So if Moses needed feedback, so do we. We're no different. And one of the most important tools to develop your ministry, how your team, whatever, in your home, is just a consistent culture of feedback, right? That it doesn't feel foreign, that feedback is just integrated into our culture. Because feedback is one of the most important tools for personal growth. Feedback is one of the most important tools for personal growth, and we all want to grow. Because we all need people who will look at us and tell us when it's just not good, right? It's just not our best. And if we think about what feedback is, pain is feedback. The other day I was in the living room, and it was Joel and I just moved, and I was like, my knee completely hurt or gave out or something, and Joel and I just could not stop laughing because I was not doing something crazy. I was barely just standing there, so your knee, pain is feedback. That's what it is, right? Pain can be feedback. A doctor's test results can be feedback. You ever get some results? It's what's going on in your body. But without it, we wouldn't know what needs to be healed, right? So we need feedback so we can have growth, so things can be changed, so we can be healed. And the truth is, we get feedback all the time. We're probably not even noticing how much we are getting feedback, but we do get it all the time, whether it's intentional or unintentional, whether it's kind or rude, and whether it's direct or subtle, we're getting it. Because if we think about it, our whole lives, we're graded, we're tested, we're rated, you're scored, you're either accepted, rejected, somebody at social media is liking, not liking something, you're invited, you're left out. All of these things are feedback. And if we think about it practically, you get feedback if you preach a message, you get feedback if you lead in a small group, you get feedback if you invited people to serve on a Sunday on CCB and they declined. You're getting feedback all of the time. If someone honks at you, you're getting feedback. If they throw up a hand signal while doing that, that's feedback. And it's self-control to not retaliate, right? But rolled eyes is feedback. If I'm ever, not that I ever do this, but if I ever would roll my eyes at home, Josh rolls it right back at me extra, showing me. So rolled eyes is feedback. A big smile is feedback. Crossed arms is feedback. All of this is feedback that we're getting and giving all throughout our days. And Ken Blanchard says, feedback is the breakfast of champions. It's not Wheaties. It's feedback. Feedback is the breakfast. And never mind. I won't talk about food. But without honest feedback, our growth will be limited. So without honest feedback, we're going to be stunted. We're not going to have the full potential that we could have. Okay, so then what do I mean by feedback? I've said it probably 1,000, maybe not 1,000, but a few times now. But what do I mean by feedback? So feedback is all of the Feedback is all of the information available to you about you. Feedback is all of the information available to you about you. because other people have information about us that we may need to know, or we may want to know. People will have that. And no matter how self-aware we are, I think that, there's definitely a scale of self-awareness of people. But even if you could be the most self-aware, you still have blind spots. Because, think about this, facial expressions. I'm the only one who can't see my own, right? So that's a blind spot for us, a facial expression. Body language. What is my body language saying to other people that I'm in a meeting with? What is my tone of voice? I may not be noticing how I said something and how it's coming across. Patterns of behavior, like if you're showing up late, interrupting people, dominating conversations. This is all feedback in how we're relating to each other in life and meetings. And blind spots. And the bottom line is this: I don't know what I don't know. Like, it's not profound, it's just simple. I don't know what I don't know, and I need help. Everybody say, I need help. And the thing is, most of us sometimes can know how to give feedback. I think that's an area we all can grow in. But today I want to help in receiving feedback. We're not going to talk about giving it today. How can we better receive feedback? Because many of us fear, if you will be honest, many of us fear feedback because we don't understand the value of feedback. If we understood the true value and how it could help us, we wouldn't fear it as much, or we wouldn't want to, run from it. Feedback in the other direction. So today I want to talk about 3 kinds of feedback, and the best way to remember this is ACE, not UYS, but ACE, ACE. So 3 kinds of feedback. A is appreciation. Appreciation says, I see you, I get you, you matter. I noticed you matter. That is building trust. These, all these things that we want to build. These are the areas people are doing great in, that you're doing great in. It's the keep doing this kinds of things, appreciation. A U.S. Department of Labor study found that 93% of Americans feel underappreciated at work. That's a lot. And 50% said being underappreciated as the primary reason that they quit. So that's a big chunk of people. 50% of almost 100 are saying they're leaving if they don't feel appreciated at work. So we want to be staff and leaders who are always showing appreciation and expressing that. It's texting, like saying it in person. If say something, see something, right? Like, the enemy's not putting a good thought in your mind about a person, right? That's from God. Like, we sometimes can keep it in our heads. Like, I appreciate them. In your head, it didn't get out of your mouth, whether it's out of our mouths or texting the people we serve with, the people who are on your team after a Sunday, like, thank you for this. I appreciate this about you, that we could get better at giving feedback. That's appreciation. And we just have to ask ourselves, do the people I lead and work with feel appreciated by me? Do the people I lead and work with feel appreciated by me? So the next kind of feedback is coaching. So coaching is anything that helps you get better at something, not, super complicated. And to grow your skill, your knowledge, your efficiency, or your effectiveness, that is what coaching does. It's mentoring, it's advice, like one-on-ones, it's suggestions, corrections. All of this counts as coaching. And we know from the natural world, like, all good, successful people have a coach. Sports, coaches, CEOs, they have a coach. Great pastors, musicians, leaders, everyone who excels in life has some type of coach. I know life coaching has been a big thing in the past 10 years or something, but everyone who excels in life has a great coach. So then E is the next one. E stands for evaluation. So evaluation ranks or rates you against a set of set standards. Who loved testing in high school or school, especially ACTs and the CATs and the no, I'm just it was just so many tests. But evaluation tells how you're doing and where you stand. So, for example, things that could be evaluation. Performance reviews. Have y'all ever done that at church? We've done that, at church, at work. Those of you who are in the, secular workplace, performance reviews. Your time in a 5K is an evaluation, right? Your cholesterol numbers, evaluation. What about when you knew it was like report card day when you were a kid, waiting for your report card? Your report card was an evaluation. And it's not about the thing we have to understand. Evaluation isn't about who we are as a person. It's about how we're doing in certain areas. And we can really confuse the two or put the two together. It's not about who we are as a person. It's just how we're doing in certain areas. And I'm going to talk about identity in a little bit. But appreciation keeps us motivated. Coaching helps us get better. And evaluation tells us where we stand. So there's three types of feedback, and none are negative. Let's get that out of our head, like, oh, the evaluation part is negative. No, like, it's not negative. These are all positive, because we only think, if we look at the list, we think like, oh, just appreciation is positive. No, they're all positive. I think we have to reframe how we see feedback. That will help us. And if we think back to Jethro and Moses, he did that with Moses. He gave him all three forms of feedback. He gave him appreciation because he was celebrating what God was doing in his life. He didn't overlook that. He saw that. He gave him evaluation because he gave him coaching because he gave him organizational advice that literally saved his life because he couldn't do it anymore and helped him become a better leader. And then he gave him evaluation by saying, hey, what you're doing isn't good, this is too heavy for you and you can't carry it on your own. And you and I need all three types of feedback, of these types of feedback in order to thrive. And I love Exodus 18:24. It says, Moses what? Listened to his father-in-law's advice and followed his suggestions. He could have said, well, he don't know. He just got here. He hadn't been here. I've been here. I've been dealing with all these millions of people and their millions of problems. He could have said that. He could have been like, he came in, he doesn't know. But no, sometimes we need that outside look, perspective. But he had a heart that was humble, and he listened to his father-in-law's suggestions. We don't know what the other side would have been like. Moses failed, like he couldn't lead these people. Like if father-in-law hadn't helped him, what would that story be like? So I love burnout. Yeah, on Julie Roy's Report, Moses, burnout, another pastor down. I don't know if everybody knows what I'm talking about, but if you know, you know. No. Where do I go from here now? I know we're turning a corner. I'm going somewhere, but just to remember, Moses listened, and that's huge. Okay, so everybody's favorite part: how to receive feedback. That's what we're going to continue into. How to receive feedback. Number one, everybody say, "Don't dread it." Don't dread it. We should crave it and invite it. Maybe the crave it and invite it part doesn't come supernatural and all at once, but I think once we stop dreading it, we will crave it and will invite it. Because feedback is not something we endure, it's something we embrace. Because we want to grow, we want to help, we want to get better. And not dreading feedback, but looking forward to it. And I don't have to tolerate it. Is something I need, that we get to that point where we're like, I need this. I need to know. I need an evaluation, right? Because sometimes you're in it and you're doing it and you just are in like go mode and like repetition, and sometimes you need like another set of eyes. And I think once we embrace it, you'll not just want it, but you'll crave it because you will understand how it will help you grow. And if you're fearful, what do we do when we're scared? We go to God. We ask him like, help me. I'm fearful of this. Why am I? But just personally, like the last time I'd done a Bible study in Jennings, it was like just kind of a large group thing. I'd sent out like a feedback, text thing, I don't know, whatever it was, to get feedback of the people who participated. Every time I preach, I'm asking Josh, like, hey, trying to catch him in between services, or Pastor Jamie or Pastor Justin, like, hey, y'all have some feedback for me? Like, so that's again, like we should be seeking it and asking it, but not dreading it, because feedback is a tool for growth. It's not punishment. Feedback is a tool for growth. It's not punishment. I know sometimes if we've been told something before in a harsh way or by someone with not good intentions, that hurt, right? And we can run from it, but we have to, not everybody has our worst interests at heart. It's just a few people, and also if those things come, that we know what to do with that. But even people with a good intention, that we can begin to receive it, not because we're remembering something that's happened in our lives, not in a good way, because it's not punishment. And so if we think about our GPS rerouting us when we have missed a turn or taken the wrong turn, it's not a trip unless you've done it at least once. And notice, though, that the GPS doesn't say, you're a terrible driver, exit here and turn around. The GPS says, rerouting, please, no, it doesn't say please, but it's like turn right on in 50 yards, as if I know what 50 yards is. But anyway, it doesn't say, it's not punishment, it's not you're a terrible driver. It may want to say that, but maybe in the future AI will start saying that. But as of now, they're just saying feedback is, here's a better way. Not you're a terrible driver, here's just a better way, and that's what feedback is. And if you don't know what you need to work on as a leader, you know who does? Everyone else. Somebody sitting next to you, those on your team, everyone around you. They have a secret list, probably. You just have to ask. We just need to ask. And we need to start getting to the place where maybe if it's a little too much for you to ask somebody at work, ask those in your home. Because they probably could give you definite feedback. Start with a spouse, a trusted friend, a coworker. Keep practicing. And anything. The more we do something, the more comfortable it'll feel. You know who you can ask for feedback? Your children, because they will be brutally honest with you. If you want to know, our children can be brutally honest. So then we shouldn't dread feedback. But number 2. Separate, and this is what I was talking about, separate the do from the who. Separate the do from the who, because we can put these two together. And one reason we don't like feedback is because we feel like it's a critique of who we are, right? Like this is me. It's not something I'm doing, but it's me as a person. We've attached our identity to our performance. That's just what the two can sometimes do. We attach our identity to our performance. And it's about performance and actions, not identity. We have to remember that. It's about performance and actions, not our identity. So when someone gives feedback, it can be easy to become defensive and say no, that's not fair. You don't know the situation, right? Have you ever said that when somebody's given feedback to you? You don't have to raise your hand. But what I want to do as a leader is to refuse to hide behind an excuse and say that's just the way I am, right? That's what we need to grow in, that this is, it's just so, well, take it, this is how it is, that we don't do that we can examine our hearts and where they're coming from, because it's not about who we are, right? It's just it's that evaluation about the thing we're doing, kind of like that report card. And what we need to remember as I'm receiving feedback, it's not fixed in what I do. It's not fixed, in who I am. It's not fixed in who I am. And this is a big one. Everybody just kind of pick up your toes a little bit. Based on your sensitivity to feedback, it's going to determine how much you can grow. That's just straight facts. Based on your sensitivity to feedback will determine how much you can grow. We are the cap to ourselves. We are the cap to our own growth, to our own of growth. It is. We are the cap. Kind of just as you have as much of God as you want, you have as much feedback and what to do with that feedback when you get it. And just a reminder that Jethro didn't criticize Moses. He gave him honest and timely feedback. And there is a difference. Criticizing is very different than honest and timely feedback. Because criticism is all about being wrong. Feedback is all about getting better. And those are the two things. Feedback is all about being better. So a few years ago, I still want to grow in my speaking ability. So I actually went to a conference where I paid for people to give me feedback. I paid for it. The leaders did, you spoke, and then people on your team, people also attending, we had to give feedback, we received feedback. Was it scary? Yes. Did I grow? Absolutely. And so, like just as an example of what I did, it's because I had to remember it's not about like me, it's just about feedback is all about getting better. And another thing we could pick our toes up for is when you find yourself getting most defensive about some type of feedback, that's probably where we need to listen the most. That where you want to like snap back real quick, that's probably, that heart area that we need to grow in more. The more pushback, the more I want to push back is often an indicator of where I need to grow in. Sorry, y'all. Just giving feedback here. No. Number 3 is, I'm speaking to myself too, obviously. Number 3 is ask clarifying questions. We need to ask clarifying questions because general questions rarely lead to specific feedback. So not super broad, right? We want to pull it down a little more into the weeds when we're getting feedback. And so don't leave, okay, if we're wanting to grow in feedback, just some feedback is, don't leave this session and go to someone and say, hey, you got any feedback for me? Because it's a terrible question because number one, it can put somebody on the spot, kind of like at the beginning when I said, y'all tell somebody feedback is putting you on the spot. But like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about your performance? Are we talking about your personality? Are we talking about your pants? Like it's just too broad. It's like, it's too like, I don't know what you're asking me. So that's not the best question to ask when wanting feedback. Because also like, how honest am I supposed to be? Like what's the right answer? So the key to getting valuable, helpful information is to train yourself to ask clarifying questions. Pastor Josh gave us a list of a lot of questions when talking with people. He is great about asking questions. That is one area I need to grow in because my mind can just go blank. Like, what do I need to ask? Cricket. But something that we need to do is ask clarifying questions. A few of them are, can you help me understand what you mean? Right? If somebody does give feedback, hey, can you help me understand this? Another one is, can you give me an example to help me understand, right? Give me an example of the thing you're talking about. Give it to me a little bit more specific. Or how can I do better next time in relation to blank? Don't just say, how can I do better next time? How can I do better next time in relation to the thing you're talking about? Because we have to remember that feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. Right? Like we can have a gift and not open it. We could throw it away. What we do with the gift is now in our hands. It's our responsibility. So don't rob yourself of the value of feedback from those around you. Don't rob yourself of it. We have to train our minds to think like, if I'm not getting this, I'm robbing myself of something better. And let's have the courage, because it takes courage to have hard conversations. And not only to ask those, but to ask the hard ask the hard questions about ourselves, right? Like when we're presented with something, taking that to God and then, bringing that to Him and asking Him about it. Because people see things in you that you may not see, but it's to help you become all that God wants you to be. That's just the bottom line. We all want to be who God wants us to be. And Dr. Henry Cloud has said, the person who seeks reality about himself or herself has the courage to embrace whatever reality they find. And that's what I think is the fear, right? We're scared of being, fearful of being less than or wanting or, not enough, right? Because we have this image to portray that he was talking about earlier. Like, we don't want to be confronted with that. But again, that's how we grow. And helpful and honest feedback can be the difference between you being a good leader and a great leader. It's that next level, right? And again, like if somebody could give you some feedback about something, other people are noticing too. It's not like it's secret, right? Like if a few people can notice, other people are seeing it. And that can just help us be a better leader. And it's not that it's a sinful issue. It's just a blind spot issue. And the difference between a good leader and a great leader is often one thing. It's willingness to receive feedback, willingness to receive it, because feedback is not an enemy to fear, it's a gift to embrace. And just that whole thing, when you and I grow as a leader, when we get better, those around us will grow too. And just, thinking about fear, like I can stay where I'm at in regards to feedback and not want to accept it or ask for it, and I can stay safe. Or I can take that step to embrace feedback, and it is scary. But what do? You grow, right? We don't want to stay the same. We want to grow, and we want God to do all that he wants to do in us. And I think if you're fearing feedback, it's just getting down to the bottom of it, right? It's getting alone with God. Like, what is that fear? Like, what is it that is pushing me away from this? Ask him to search your heart. Get to the why. Like, why? Maybe something that happened in your past, a harsh word or a harsh thing people have said is stopping you. Like, let's not let something that happened to us stunt us from future growth, because that's what the enemy would want to happen. But getting down to the why, the fear and insecurity that's preventing you from embracing it, and just again, don't rob yourself of the value of feedback from those around you. So let's just pray, because this is definitely just a hard issue as we close before a break. And there's also a feedback assessment that you'll see that you can do. You have a lot of homework today that you could do in your breakouts. Some suggested next steps to not leave you without that. But let's pray. God, I thank you for every single person here, Father, and if they are dealing with a fear, if they're dealing with being just afraid of asking, God, that you would help us remove what we do in the who we are thing, God, but just that, number one, our identity is in you, and that isn't shaken. That doesn't change. So therefore, because we have a secure place and identity in you, God, we can receive things, and it's not to punish us, God, it's to help us grow, and that you would just give us all hearts and desires to grow. We would build teams that this culture just infuses around feedback, God, seeing the value in it. And we would just become and continue to be a feedback church, a feedback culture. And just give people words of wisdom for each other. Like, it would be all the forms of feedback, the appreciation, the coaching, evaluation, not just evaluation, God, that we would also be people who can express gratitude. And we just thank you for this. Help us to grow. You know the areas, God, that we need help with. We just lay that before you, and just give everyone courage and boldness to be able to do this and to incorporate this to their teams. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.